Today, we're going to be taking a look at Bitcoin's technical analysis and talk about why I'm seeing some potential downside over the next couple of days. But some more exciting news is Ethereum and Ripple's technical analysis. As you can see here with Ripple, we went ahead and just formed this death cross, as you can see with this 50-day moving average now crossing under that 100-day moving average. We're going to talk about why we believe Ripple may see some downside as well, but Ethereum is doing the complete opposite. With Ethereum, you can see here, we're starting to see some upwards momentum. We just broke this Bollinger Band resistance level, and we formed a golden cross recently, the complete opposite of what we just saw with Ripple. And then we're also going to be going into some amazing headlines and answering some live questions from our audience. And by the way, if you guys are not already getting our premium cryptocurrency and Forex signals, we send out signal alerts every single day for trades on our Discord. The link is in the description below or below me. As you can see, we had some amazing signals this week for our Forex traders, and we just posted another crypto signal just now, 2 of them actually. And if you can actually take a look at one of our signals that we posted 2 days ago with USD JPY, you can see exactly where we sent that entry point and where we went ahead and exited right before we saw that major resistance level. And this was a 40 pip plus gain for our Forex traders. So make sure to check the link in the description below for that. But let's go ahead and just dive right into our technical analysis for Bitcoin and talk about why we're seeing some potential downside here, and then take some questions from our live audience. I see we have amazing people on already, Michael, Hassan, and other people here. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's happening here. So we're overall forming this pennant, and something we've talked about over the past couple of days in our live streams. And right now you can see we're heading towards that blue line, which is the exponential moving average, and we may or may not see that act as a support. But in my opinion, if we pull up this MACD, which is a really amazing indicator, because you can look at these histograms and really tell the amount of buyer and seller pressure in the market, you can see here we're not necessarily seeing any continued buyer pressure. It's starting to curve down here with this fast length, and we're also not necessarily seeing that volume that we want to see here. If you look at the volume, we initially saw this huge spike in volume that got us very excited, but now we're seeing a lack of volume. So this huge spike could have very much have been institutional traders or whales, and now we're starting to see this consolidation around that between the 50-day and the EMA. But in my opinion, this structure being the fact that we've only had a support level touched twice, we want to see the support level get we want to see a point of contact at least 3 times. So in my opinion, we're starting to head below towards that ascending support line, which is going to be an extremely point for us to watch, because we could very well consolidate towards that 34.47 level before breaking out of this overall breakout pattern. And the good thing about Bitcoin's technical analysis that I want you guys to realize here is this is a very positive pattern. You know, once again, we saw a huge rally in December, so consolidating down to 3,200 and now seeing some upward momentum and ascending support level is a very positive thing. And if you compare that to the 2008 recession during the huge crash, it's very similar to how we recovered from that crash, and now we're way and above the all-time highs that we saw in 2008. And so I was having a conversation with one of the companies I advised today. If you don't know, I advise over half a dozen blockchain companies, and I was with one of the founders, and we were talking about the potential of Bitcoin hitting 10,000 by the end of this year. So I'd love to hear your opinion on that in the chat as well as in the comments below. Do you guys think Bitcoin can hit 10,000 by the end of this year? I think that's very much possible, especially with the fundamental news that we're going to cover here. If we look at some titles of our headlines today. By the way, if you guys haven't liked this video, make sure to like this video. I see we're at 5 likes, 46 viewers. Make sure to support our channel. It really helps out. But talking about some positive things here for Bitcoin, Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Square and Twitter, is showing extreme amounts of support towards Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. You can see here with this article, one of the world's most popular apps will implement Bitcoin's Lightning Network. Square CEO Jack Dorsey says he's working with the team at Lightning Labs to bring the Lightning Network to Square's Cash App. What's really cool about Square's Cash App is they accept Bitcoin. They've went ahead and exposed it to all of their users already, but now we're starting to see progression with the actual technology. You can see here it says, Dorsey says making Bitcoin more transactional is a high priority, and that it's only a matter of time before the company integrates the technology to make it faster and easier to use Bitcoin for purchases. And so I highly recommend you guys check out this article. But you can see here, not only is he helping out with his Square Cash App, but he's also helping out with Twitter. You can see here, tip in to allow Twitter users to send and receive tips in Bitcoin's Lightning Network. Why is this important? Why am I showing you this? Well, if we expect Bitcoin to see higher price levels, if we expect Bitcoin to hit 10,000 by the end of this year, we need to start seeing use case. At the end of the day, if we pull up this weekly chart and you look at what's happening here with Bitcoin, we've finally seen the lows of the lows. At the end of the day, we've consolidated and have seen this bear market trend has prolonged almost 2 years now, over a year, and it doesn't necessarily have to continue. Market cycles repeat previous patterns, and being the fact that I've been in this market for almost 10 years now, what I'll tell you is we've seen this happen so many times to Bitcoin, where we've seen these exuberant run-ups and these huge downtrends to eventually see higher price levels, because once again, the fundamentals of this market doesn't change. And if you guys have been staying in tune with all of our live streams, make sure to subscribe to our channel if you're not already. You guys know we've been talking about transactional volume for Bitcoin almost reaching the same highs that we saw in December, which caused that rally, and we're now starting to see a lot more use case with this technology. So to go ahead and transition into our next article here, I'm going to talk a little bit about Ripple and then go into Ethereum and Ripple's technical analysis and talk about why I'm expecting some really cool things for Ethereum in the next couple of weeks. And then with Ripple, we're seeing a little bit of the opposite. We're seeing some potential downside, but you can see a Ripple partner utilizing XRP powered XRapid reveals imminent launch, raises 1.7 million from financial giants. And I want to go into this article to give you guys an understanding of why Ripple's fundamentals are so strong, because if we look at coin market cap, you can see number one, Ethereum and Ripple right now are pretty much competing for that number 2 spot. You can see they're both at a $12 billion market cap, and you can see XRP is just several hundred millions away from taking that second spot back from Ethereum. But the real question is, 5 to 10 years from now, which one of these coins are going to be at a $50 billion market cap, right? And so in order to determine that, you have to understand that we need to start seeing use case. And based on this article, you can see it says the platform aims to dramatically lower the cost of sending money overseas. That's a huge deal, because if you look at Uber and Lyft, the reason these companies are so big is they were able to eliminate the middleman, which was the taxi drivers, right? They connected the drivers and the riders and eliminated a middle point in that process. And you can see it's exactly what Ripple is aiming to do. It says the service is set to launch in about a month, setting a new benchmark that's 65% cheaper than the industry average, right? A lot similar to Uber and Lyft, right? It's a lot cheaper than using a regular taxi. Well, obviously, because you're connecting the rider directly with the driver. So you see here it says, SendFriend will utilize Ripple's XRapid, which uses the digital asset XRP as a bridge currency to power payments. So it's good that they use XRP with the XRapid system, because you're actually using the Ripple currency. Even though it's just for a very small amount of time, you're still using it. And you can see here it says the technology will allow SendFriend to circumvent the corresponding banking system. Exactly what we just talked about. Eliminating the banking systems here to transfer money overseas is a huge deal. So you can see it continues by saying, by converting US dollars to XRP and sending the digital asset to the Philippines, where it is instantly converted back to the Philippines peso, the entire process is designed to take a couple of minutes, with the time the assets are in XRP reduced to a matter of seconds. So amazing news for Ripple. Let's go ahead and take a look at the technical analysis. We have a ton of awesome people on our live stream. Randy, Andrew, Cornelius, Lawrence, YBW, Quinn is in the house, Garrett in the house, Peter, and Malik in the house. Somebody just said, Garrett, what's the deal with BNB? How long is this coin going up? Little resistance. We'll check BNB after this live stream if you guys remind me. Peter says BNB already hit its resistance. I would beware and wait for a retracement. Yeah, if you guys are part of our premium group, once again, the link is in the description. But I think I actually did a BNB analysis. If you just go to our crypto chat, I think we posted one recently. I actually did post one for BTT recently as well. You can see with the BitTorrent coin, this just recently came out. I'm very excited about the BitTorrent coin because once again, BitTorrent has all of these users seeding its downloads, and now you've got all of these users coming to the BitTorrent platform now using the BTT token, which will eventually transfer into Bitcoin or USDT when they want to liquidate, right? So that's more use case for Bitcoin. So, see, the biggest thing that I want you guys to realize from this video and just in general is we're seeing more use case for Bitcoin. We're seeing more advancements. We're seeing a faster transactional speed with Bitcoin, but we're seeing price levels at all-time lows, right? This is the time where most people are scared to get into market because they witnessed this huge downtrend, this bear market for the past year and a half. But once again, if you guys have read Warren Buffett's books, what does Warren Buffett say? He says, get greedy when everyone is fearful. Get fearful when everyone is greedy. And so right now is a very crucial time in the cryptocurrency market here. Malik says, I've been holding XRP for about 2 years. I love it. Well, why don't we go ahead and look at XRP's analysis here while we're on this live stream. So what's really interesting, I don't know if anybody's talking about this, but we're starting to see this death cross form here for Ripple. What is a death cross? It's a very bearish sign. And what it is when a lower moving averages crosses below a higher moving average, that's what a death cross is. And what's really cool is if we were to go ahead and match that up with what we're seeing here with the RSI as well, something that a lot of people don't know, more of an advanced trading strategy, is understanding the levels of RSI. And anything below 30 is considered oversold. Anything above 70 is considered overbought. But there's also these neutral grounds, right? It's that 60 to 40 level. And I like to call this the neutral ground for RSI. And what I mean by that is if we ever break those levels, it's an indicator for either bearish or bullish momentum. And so you can see here we found resistance at 60. We dropped all the way back down to 40, found support as we should have, but then we eventually broke down below 40. Also a sign of potential downside, right? And you can see here 40 has acted as a support in the past, so it's been following the universal trading laws here, and I don't see why it's not going to continue to follow those rules, especially with the lack of buyer volume, the increase in seller volume, and the death cross. Things are just not looking so well for Ripple. So if we were to go a little bit deeper into this analysis and ask, well, what are we supposed to watch in order to determine whether we're going to see downside? Well, we're already seeing multiple indicators of potential downside, but the next indicator to watch here is the exponential moving average, or this EMA, because if we were able to find support alongside this EMA, that would be a very positive sign for Ripple. However, if we do not find support, we start to breach this level, then we can see some further downside from there. So that's really what we're looking at Ripple. If you guys have any comments for this analysis, I'd love to hear it in the chat. I see we have Shaw, Tom, and Virus and John on right now. Good to have you guys on the live stream. Remember to like this video if you guys haven't already. But to go ahead and look at Ethereum's analysis here, we're going to go ahead and first look at this golden cross that occurred here. This was a huge potential indicator for this breakout that we eventually saw, which took us about, let's say here, about over 10%. So after we saw this death cross, we started to see this resistance at this known resistance level. And that's why I draw out this red line here. So a lot of us are watching to see whether or not Ethereum is going to break out soon. And if I were you, I would be watching several different indicators here, including the MACD, because what the MACD is indicating is that we're seeing a lot more buyers into this market. We're seeing more of this elongated buyer pressure come in, which is very different than Bitcoin, where we're seeing more of a neutral buyer pressure come in. And what's really cool here is if you pull up this RSI as well, we pretty much found resistance along 60, but we're still in this neutral zone. But the other thing is we could very much so decline all the way back down to that support. So you have to be a little bit careful when trading this asset class during these medium I would say during these transition phases. That's really the best way to put it. Another reason I would consider this a transition phase is we also broke out of this Bollinger Band resistance level and then found some resistance along that 50-day moving average. So I'm glad that we found resistance at that 50-day moving average, because that's extremely healthy. But right now, the true resistance that we're watching here is this resistance level here around that 3.4 million Satoshi level, and where we're at now past that 50-day moving average. So what I'd like to see before going completely bullish on Ethereum is for this price level to go ahead and break through that 50-day moving average, and then also break through this resistance, because then we have all of this upside here that we can start drawing technical analysis on. If you guys are constantly on our live streams, and you'll know we'll keep you up to date. And especially if you guys are in our premium group, we're there 24/7 and we're always helping our members. And so we'll make sure to keep you up to date on what's happening with their Ethereum. But, you know, things are looking extremely bullish. I'd love to see what you guys think about Ethereum versus Ripple here. Cali Boy says, what's up, brother? What's your thoughts on BTT? If you guys are in our Discord, once again, the link is in the description below or below me. I posted this quick analysis here of BTT, and I called a short on it because of the fact that we're approaching this known resistance level. We found resistance here, and so we're most likely to see the downside momentum down to the support level, but it was an extremely risky trade, which is why I didn't go ahead and send out alert on this. I just posted it in the chat. And so that's my thoughts on BTT. But the point is, I'm just excited at the fact that BTT is out there, and it's going to cause more users to come into this market and bring more positivity towards the cryptocurrency and digital asset market here. So Malik says, I think BAT is sleeping giant. Your view on BAT, please. You know, a lot of these altcoins could be considered sleeping giants. Once again, I advise over half a dozen blockchain companies. What I'll tell you right now is the majority of them are in a transition phase. They're not necessarily spending too much of their overhead. They're keeping things as thin as possible because of the fact that we've been in this huge bear market. But that's why we're seeing a lot of these other coins that have been able to accumulate major amounts of funds like Ripple stay at the top and still continue to make partnerships because they just have so much disposable capital and they have a way larger budget. And that's why you'll see them acquiring companies. You'll see them partnering with companies, and you'll see a ton of press articles about them. It's because they have the funds to go ahead and fuel that. So Samar says, sup, dude, could you do EOS ETH? We'll take some requests in just a sec here. Callie says, nice. Thank you so much. Absolutely. Virus says, I think it's a good thing. Absolutely. It's a very good thing. Shaw says, I lost faith in crypto, man. You know, I would definitely disagree with that, Shaw, just to be completely honest with you. You know, at the end of the day, you're going to sit here and tell me that you're losing faith in one of the most outperforming asset classes in the world right now. If you look at gold, silver, any sort of commodity, any sort of stock, or any sort of foreign exchange, what I'll tell you right now is if we were to look at the 3-year outlook of all of those assets, Bitcoin has outperformed each and every one of those. And so I would more than disagree with the fact that cryptocurrency is dead. I would more than disagree, not just with, you know, losing faith in it, Shaw. I would just say that, you know, I think people are just uneducated on what's actually happening in this market. And that's why it's super important to read books. It's super important to educate yourself on these financial markets so that you really have an understanding of liquidity and buyer and seller demand and supply, because that's what controls the federal bank. That's what controls this market. And at the end of the day, we're seeing some amazing action here for the digital currency revolution. And, you know, for us to see that $20,000 price point in 2017, that was just more faith, in my opinion, that this has a huge potential in the next coming years. And so I would be very careful with losing faith in this market right now, because that's like losing faith, you know, in the .com era in 2001, right? After the .com bubble popped, it's like, man, these websites aren't ever going to turn into anything, right? Even in 2003, you could have said, man, these websites wouldn't have turned into anything. And we didn't even have Instagram, social media, YouTube, any of that around by then, right? Even in 2004, you could have said, I've lost faith in the .com era, right? But guess what? What ended up happening? It's taken over the world. There's more jobs lost every single day because of internet websites and online companies than anything before. I mean, American Apparel was a worldwide brand. 97% of consumers could recognize the brand and match it to their logo. But what happened? They went bankrupt. You know, an $800 million company went bankrupt in a year, and it got taken over by Fashion Nova, which is pretty much all online. Now they have brick and mortar because they've got the funds to do so. But, you know, so, you know, Sears just went bankrupt, right? I mean, you're seeing all of these Sears close down. You know, you're seeing all these Macy's close down, you know, and that all stemmed from the .com bubble. So to say you lost faith in cryptocurrencies, I think that's a little bit of an ignorant statement. You know, not to put you down, brother. I'm just saying, man, like, we got to have some positivity here. You guys agree or disagree? Say I if you guys agree here. Somebody here says, what would you say on holding XRP long term, Malik? You know, I would say that in terms of, you know, obtaining a position long term right now for Ripple, it's really dependent upon what your entry point is. If you're going to get into any sort of long term position, I would always recommend dollar cost averaging yourself into that position so that you can free up capital, because, you know, liquidity is an important thing when you're trading markets, and especially if you guys are part of our Discord trading group. I mean, you know, last month we knocked out 150% plus just using our crypto signals. Our Forex signals, we had over 1,000 plus pips and gains, right? And so, you know, we're here showing you guys exactly when to get in, when to get out, right? This was our last trade alert right here for our Forex that hit profit. Look, we said get in right here, 109.73. If we pull up the trade alert here, you can actually go into Forex signals and we can backtrack this. You can see 109 entry point, 109.73.8, right? Target 110.25. We gave you guys the trade here, right? if you entered there and you exited there and you followed exactly what we said, and we also created the risk management for you too, right? We set up that stop loss at 109.43, so if you didn't have liquidity to trade that, then you just lost out on 40 plus pips of gains right there. And that was just one of our trade alerts, right? And so I think liquidity is an important thing, and if you put your capital into Ripple and you keep it in Ripple, well, guess what? You just lost your liquidity. And so holding long-term is definitely a strategy, but I would say that swing and day trading could really get you a lot more percentage gains and give you a lot more flexibility and liquidity. And that's why I recommend, and that's why I utilize that style, and and that's where I'd put my liquid capital. And so Tom and Chris say I love it. Shah says, I still love your show. I only tune in when you're on. Thank you, Shah. I appreciate it, man. Well, I'm glad that you gave that comment, because I'm sure a lot of other people thought the same thing. Lauren says facts. Virus says agreed. So let's go ahead and see if we can find some other altcoins that have some sort of potential here. Let's pull up the BNB BTC coin here and see if we can find some potential trades, because sometimes it's hard for me to just do it myself. We have a team of analysts that provide signals, but we just can't go through everything, right? So initially what I'll tell you right now is we're obviously at this known resistance level, right? So this is a pretty easy technical analysis, and this is a huge opportunity as well. Right now there's a big opportunity here with BNB. So if you guys are not familiar with the cup and handle pattern, I want to talk about why this could potentially turn into a cup and handle. We might actually see a breakout here with BNB. Now, I like the BNB coin not just technically, but also fundamentally, right? Binance is one of the most profitable exchanges in the world, if not the most profitable exchange in the world, right? One of my buddies actually knows CZ, the CEO, and has actually connected me to CZ, but I haven't had much personal interactions with him. But what I'll tell you right now is he's majorly focused on being the leading platform for digital currency exchange. And so looking at the fact that we're approaching this known resistance level, what was I just about to do? I was going to pull something up. I don't know what I was going to do. I was probably going to say like this video, because we're at 21 likes and at 77 viewers. So make sure you guys like this video if you guys appreciate what we're going through. But I forgot what I was about to say. But let's go ahead and continue on here with the BNB analysis. So, I was going to show you guys the cup and handle. So it looks like we're potentially forming a cup and handle. If you guys are in our Discord as well, you can go to trading patterns, and I want to show you guys what the cup and handle looks like. So this is pretty much a cup and handle, and you can see we initially will see a huge breakout followed by a resistance at the peak, and then form a cup, which is a rounding pattern, find resistance once again at the same peak that we formed that initial peak at, and then find minor consolidation to the downside before the breakout. And it's exactly what we're seeing here. If we pull up the BNB analysis, you can see we see that breakout to the upside, the resistance form, the textbook cup and handle formation here with the rounding pattern, the second resistance here. And so if we were to assume what were to occur here, here's how I would play this right now with BNB. This is a very important technical analysis that I'm showing you right now, because BNB is in a very crucial time. So let's go ahead and redraw this resistance level. So we've got the resistance here at that 267 mark. And right now we can play this in several different ways. So obviously I wouldn't create any sort of entry positions right now, being that we're still at this resistance and we haven't confirmed breakout. So number one is we want to confirm breakout, right? So the first strategy here is if we were to break out of this level and see even more buyer volume come in and really take us beyond this price level, at least to that 2.7 mark, then that would be an extremely bullish move for BNB. And what would eventually and most likely happen is this resistance will now become support. And so that's why you want to wait for the breakout before the entry, so you can confirm the entry and most likely see those gains. And if we were to look at any sort of backtrack analysis, there's no other analysis to determine where BNB is headed. And so we could really see the sky, because the sky is the limit, right? But here's the more rational analysis. So the more rational analysis is we're going to see resistance, right? We're most likely going to see a little bit more downside. If we see downside, what we want to do is we want to see some consolidation around this area here, because this is where we want to see that cup form. So if we were to form some consolidation around this area, I would hold off on a position until we can confirm a support level. And so we want to at least see 3 points of contact at that support level to enter that position in the handle. And what that will allow you to do is allow you to create a swing trading opportunity in which now you have a support level to set your stop loss at and have a reasonable price level for that. But then you have all of this other upside potential, knowing that we're at the top of this cup. So you'll not only get that 14% space of potential profit, but then you also can keep in mind that since we're testing all-time highs, there's that potential for a major breakout to the upside. And so that's how I would play the BNB move, and I hope that helps out. But this is a very, very, very awesome chart here, very beautiful chart, and it goes right in line with the technical analysis that we teach here on Traders Profit Club, especially if you guys are in our Discord. Just use these resources. I'm telling you, it really helps out, especially if you're getting the signals. I mean, we just sent out 2 crypto signals. I'm not going to pull it up right now because once again, we have to reserve that. And we're doing 50% off right now, by the way, since we're still in our pre-sale. And so I highly recommend you guys get on that. The link is in the description below. Coach K says, Sniper, what's up, buddy? Good to have you on, Coach K. Michael says that cup and handle could take weeks. Yeah, I mean, well, that's the play here. At the end of the day, Michael, I mean, if you're day trading this, that's a whole different technical analysis. We can go into a 15-minute chart here and talk about what's going to happen in the next 30 minutes. But, you know, that's not necessarily what this live stream is about. This is to help thousands of people that watch this determine the actual medium-term potential here in the next couple of weeks. And so, you know, if you guys want more of a specific analysis, then, you know, get into our group and, you know, request those, and we can have a more specific analysis on a 1 hour or 15-minute chart. And that's for those day traders out there. And so hopefully that helps out there. Cowboy says it's only going to take huge adoption for everyone to jump back on crypto. And when it does, better hope you're in at these prices. Even if it goes down by more, I would have killed for these prices a year ago. I love that mindset, Callie, you know, especially with all the news articles that we've been covering over the past few weeks. You know, we're seeing so much positivity here for Bitcoin. Matter of fact, if we were to go ahead and pull up our daily transactional volume, let's go ahead and take a look at this. This should be more of a consistent metric that we look at here on Traders Profit Club. But as you can see, we're seeing this amazing amount of transactional volume here for Bitcoin. And, you know, something that I've talked about in our live streams in the past is typically when we see these huge downtrends with coins like Bitcoin, right? So we saw the top and then we saw the huge downtrend to 3,000 from 20,000. It's also going to be extremely exaggerated. The same way the uptrend was exaggerated, the downtrend is going to be exaggerated. What does that mean? Well, this is going to be a pretty strong opinion, but what I'll say is this, and this is just an example. You can see that we found consistent support along all of these levels here until we eventually broke down, right? And so what I'll tell you right now is this here could very much be the levels in which, like you just mentioned, Cali Boy, Bitcoin is completely undervalued and an amazing buy, right? And the reason I say this is an opinion is because this isn't technical analysis. I'm just giving you guys an example of what I'm talking about. What I'm trying to say is the same way you see this exaggeration up, you'll see the exaggeration down. And the best example of this is to pull up the NASDAQ, right? And we've talked about this in the past. If we looked at the 2008 recession, you can see it did the exact same thing. So if we were to pull that up here, you can see if we go back to 2008 and you can see what formations were formed. So we formed this uptrend, we found the peak, and then we dropped. Once we dropped, we found some support. So we found some support around this area, but then we ended up going, so we found some consistent support here. We went below that area, and so everything here would have been considered an amazing buy, right? Because guess what? Look where we're at now. So we eventually formed that uptrend, and then we started trending up. And so it's the same thing here with Bitcoin. If we look at Bitcoin, it looks very much like we've most likely found the potential bottom. Now, the reason I say potential is because we just never know, right? We have to do technical analysis. It's all probabilities. But at the end of the day, you can see this is a known support. We drop below that. And in my opinion, with this pennant that's forming, with the transaction volume being as high as it is, the fundamentals have not yet caught up to the technicals. And I am very, very, very much with the opinion that we will most likely see this start to trend up over the next few months. There's no reason for it not to. Do you guys agree or disagree? Put it in the chat right now. Lawrence says, if we're staying liquid, do you suggest buying BTC first in order to buy an altcoin, or use the stablecoin to buy the alt and then sell to Bitcoin and then back to the stablecoin? Well, it really depends. You know, when you're trading altcoins, you're going against Satoshi value. So I would say have a mixture of both, right? Especially if you're using the BNB coin, that could help you save on transaction fees. Sometimes it's smart to hold it in BNB. You know, and I think that's why we're seeing such a huge trend in BNB, why we're seeing these all-time highs, right? Another coin I'd watch if I were you guys is the Gemini coin, right? You know, these coins like the BNB coin, the Gemini coin, the KuCoin, these are coins that obviously have intrinsic value because they're being used by people on the exchange. So the success of these coins are based on the success of the exchange. One cool thing I like about Gemini is aiming towards targeting institutional investors more than just retail investors. You can see their coin is number 51 right now at an $83 million market cap. Well, guess what? If they're targeting institutional investors and they're going to give an incentive to these institutional investors to utilize the Gemini dollar instead of using any other stable currency or even fiat, well, guess what? This could rapidly start to rise. Matter of fact, I'm so confident in that statement that I sit here and tell you that I can more than assume that Gemini dollar will be in the top 20 cryptocurrencies sometime this year. And the reason I say that is, if you know, I've used Gemini for years upon years upon years, and I've seen the development of their exchange. I know they're a successful exchange. So, you know, there's a lot of opportunities here. I can go on and on and on about different opportunities in this market. So, you know, for the individual that said you lost hope, man, I feel bad. You know, you never want to lose hope. You never want to lose faith, especially when the logic behind it is showing the ladder, right? And the logic here is that our transactional volume here is consistently at 300,000 transactions per day. That's not what we've ever seen in the past. And the only time that we have seen that, we saw Bitcoin at $20,000. And so, you know, the point is, sorry for going on a rant, you know, things are looking good. So if you guys are enjoying this rant, by the way, show your support by liking this video. Just click that button right here. It really helps out with gaining exposure and getting out there. And by the way, if you guys are not part of our premium group, the link is also in the description. We're sending out daily cryptocurrency signals for altcoins in the top 50. We're sending daily signals for Forex. You know, this was our last signal. This was the entry point. This was the take profit. And I even showed you guys that signal here. You know, it's just copy and paste and profit, right? And so this market doesn't have to be boring. And I think that the people losing faith in this market, they're the ones not having fun in this market. You guys just have to learn to have fun. You know, Tom says top 5 altcoins to hodl in the next bull run. I think the Gemini dollar would be a huge one. Just to be honest here. Cali Boy says, yeah, I agree. Quinn says, like I said. I love it here. Peter says, Coach, that's why you use your stop losses. I would just use stop losses. I recommend every student in our group use a service that creates trailing stop losses and trailing take profits. Those allow your trading style to become a lot more dynamic when you're trailing your stops and your take profits. And so that's what I would recommend there. And so Cali Boy says, just think NEO was at $200 at all-time high last year. It's at $7 right now. Vibe was at $2.80, and it's at 3 cents right now. Crazy how many opportunities to make a lot of money if you're patient. I love that. Thank you for mentioning that, Cali Boy. You deserve a hoorah on that one, man. I totally agree with that there. And so Quinn says his top 5 is Cardano, Ripple, Tron, Mana, and BNB. And then Tom says, why Mana? I love it. Coach K says we had over 150% gains last month. Thank you, brother. Yes, we did. If you guys are part of our premium group, yes, we did. David says, love you. Appreciate that. So other than the BNB token, another one I want to talk about is BTT. You know, this is something I do want to talk about. So the BitTorrent coin is something I'm excited about, being the fact that BitTorrent already has so many users on its platform. And if you guys, you look at the technical analysis here, we're approaching these known resistance levels. We're more than likely going to see some sort of a downward trend sometime soon. Matter of fact, I think we already did. Look at that. I think our technical analysis already went through. So I sent this out in the chat, a few hours ago when it hit this resistance. I said it was a perfect short, and you can see what happened. Look, man, I'm telling you, our TA is on point, guys. If you guys are not in our Discord, you got to get in. Look, it hit that resistance and dropped right down. Isn't that awesome? So that was another little testimony there. But what's more exciting is the fundamentals of BTT. At the end of the day, BitTorrent has tons of users. They're going to start earning BTT for seeding downloads. And in the past, you had millions of people seeding downloads for free without even earning anything. So imagine what's going to happen now that people are able to earn things, right? What's also cool is this formed a beautiful bull flag. There's not much technical analysis that we can do here since it's such a new coin, but you can see this beautiful bull flag form after that exuberant uptrend. And so, you know, really right now, matter of fact, we kind of already broke out of this bull flag because we can actually just use this resistance here since there were 4 points of contact. And we can just assume here that we've already broken out of this flag. And so, you know, things are bullish here. You know, I can't do much TA, unfortunately, but the fundamentals for BTT, I'd highly recommend looking into it. And let's go ahead and keep our Ethereum chart pulled up here. See if we have any more questions before we wrap this baby up here. Cali Boy says, by the way, I'm happy to see you back, brother. I started watching you last year with the LaCroix drink. I love it. Wasim says, salam, bro. Salam to you as well. Tom says, Crypto Curb, you got nothing on Naeem. I appreciate that. And Eli says, check Zilliqa. You know, Zilliqa was a coin that we called out last year, and it saw like, hundreds of % of gains since we've called it. And it's a coin we haven't much, kept in line with. But before we wrap up this live stream, let's take one more user request. Post in the chat right now. I'll choose one more coin here, and I'm going to see if we're seeing anything interesting here on CoinMarketCap in the meantime. If we pull up volume here in the last 24 hours, we're seeing Bitcoin, Tether, and Ethereum here at the top 3, like always. Doesn't look like we have much action here from any of these other coins here. What I really like about looking at the volume charts is sometimes you'll see coins here that you just don't normally see. And those are coins you want to keep track of, because if they're seeing so much volume out of nowhere, then that could be a potential for future volume. And so it's important to track things like that and metrics like that. Peter says, TPC to the moon, get on the spaceship. I love it. Thank you. Samir says, EOS. Quinn says, Cardano. Ross says, don't you think as time goes on, more people will convert their BTC, ETH, and things like XRP to more technology cryptos like NXPS or BTT? Not at all, Ross. That question doesn't make much sense to me, to be quite frank with you. At the end of the day, every token has its own use case, and every single token has a reason for why people use it, right? Like Bitcoin, it's limited in quantity. So it creates this FOMO in people that this is going to cost thousands and thousands and millions of dollars in 50 years because there's just a limited quantity, right? And then you've got coins like Ethereum, which pretty much its main use case is raising funds for the ICOs built on their de-application platform, right? You look at coins like Ripple. What's its main use? Well, banks are using it for just a second to transfer, less than a second actually, you know. I don't know if you know this, but when XRP is used on XRapid, which is the system that uses XRP and it's the banks that they're all partnered with, it's only using XRP for milliseconds before it's transferred back into fiat. That's why we can see a fluctuating price for the coin, but it's still being used in order to convert currency, right? Because you're going to need something stable to convert currency or something to reference off of, right? And so Mohammed said, Neo. Bad Doggy says, made some good gains with Theta. I love it. I had a testimonial from one of our members today in our Discord. Said he did 42% last month just using some of our signals. He didn't use all of them. He used some of them. And you know, what I like about when we post signals is you still got to do your own analysis. Trading is a very dynamic skill, and so you constantly have to keep up with it. And so it's not just a one all be all. It's definitely something dynamic. And so let's go ahead and pull up Cardano ADI. I know we got a couple requests here for Cardano. I want to go ahead and do a couple requests to see if we can find any potential moves here. Maybe we'll just look at what coins are looking extremely bullish. Looking at this, we're finding resistance along that 50-day moving average. And not only that, we had a gold cross form here as well. So the one positive thing here I'll tell you is this right here is a very bullish sign. Once a lower moving average crosses above a higher moving averages, that is an indicator of bullish. And that's probably why we saw this initial break to the run up. You know, this is actually a really important graph here because what we're seeing is a crucial point in which we may start to break above this 50-day. So what I would be watching right now is we slightly broke above it, then we broke right back down. But I'd definitely be watching this 50-day moving average. I'd be interested to see a little bit more of a bolder EMA here as well to see what that is showing here, this exponential moving average. So we're bouncing on the exponential moving average, but finding resistance along this 50-day. So it's going to have to choose whether it wants to go down or up. Now, based on this gold cross that occurred here with the moving average, and also based on the fact that we did once break that 50-day moving average already, this could very much be a potential play here. You know, and the reason we're consolidating these levels is we're going down to these previous support levels here. It looks like this is actually going to be a very important level to watch here as well, being the fact that we found some support here once, twice, third time, and then found some resistance around that area as well. And so you can see here as well that that was really that area. We can even drop this a little bit lower. And so, you know, the one thing I'd keep in mind is, yes, we are above that EMA, but we still have that potential downside. So it's not a good entry point right now, but it's a good coin to watch for a potential entry point sometime soon. And so that's what I would say for this analysis here. And then you can see we broke that downtrend here with the RSI, and then we pretty much bounced around that 60. So we're still in that neutral zone. So nothing bearish and a couple bullish signs here for Cardano to wrap up that analysis. Another request that our live audience just put out is EOS BTC. Looking at EOS BTC, very, very beautiful chart here. So, you know, you can see here we've got this 50-day moving average starting to curve up. It actually might be heading towards that 100-day moving average for potential another potential gold cross. That would be a huge, huge deal here. And the reason I say that's really important is, you know, at the end of the day, here, let's go ahead and actually take this EMA and make that a different color because that's kind of confusing here. But looking at this 50-day moving average, you know, and us talking about death crosses and golden crosses, I want to talk about why that's important. Because look, as you can see here, this 50-day moving average crossed below the higher moving average. That's a death cross. That's not a golden cross. And a death cross is bearish. Well, guess what happened when that happened? Look at this huge downtrend, right? Just knowing that simple rule would have saved you 42%, right? That's why I'm telling you guys, if you guys are not in our Discord premium group, the link is in the description. It's below me right now. We're sending out daily cryptocurrency trade signals, daily forex signals, 150% gains last month alone, and it's 50% off right now as we do our pre-sale since the course is still in progression. And what I'll tell you right now is if you use these tools and go through this premium education, it's going to totally help you out, you know? So the quick tips here is available for our free Discord members, but the premium education is really where the meat's at. And this talks about everything. It talks about setting up those trailing stop losses, those trailing take profits. It talks about double bottom patterns, trading trends, moving averages, everything that we're talking about right now, it talks about. And, you know, and you could have saved yourself 42% if you just knew what a death cross was, right? And so the golden crosses and the death crosses are pretty strong, indicators and moves. But at the end of the day, you don't want to just take those, you know, and run with it, because once again, you can see here, we formed a golden cross, but then really quickly went right back down to form that death cross. So you also have to give it time. And that's why trading is a dynamic skill. It's not something static that you just do, you know, it's something you constantly have to monitor and adjust. And so, you know, the fact that we did form or will potentially be forming this golden cross sometime soon, what I would say is, you know, taking a look at the RSI, we've already seen overbought levels. We've went ahead and consolidated back down, and we're pretty much at these higher levels that I don't really feel comfortable putting in an entry point in or entry position in, especially if we've already seen the overbought level hit once. Because if you look at past past patterns, and if you know what the RSI is like, you know, typically when you are above these overbought levels, eventually you're going to see that downtrend, right? And so we're in these overbought levels, and we look at this RSI right now, we may bounce and break this resistance, and that would be the most bullish move here. So what I would be watching right now is this support and resistance level, because you can see how it's confirming itself as we've already seen resistance after this uptrend. And I would be waiting for us to go ahead and cross past that the same way that we analyzed the BNB coin, by the breakout here. That's probably the best move. And so hopefully that helps out. If you guys are enjoying this live stream, comment below. We're going to be wrapping this baby up soon. Hassan says, Naeem, do you believe that the bottom is in for Bitcoin? I think that we could have very much have seen the bottom, especially with the fundamentals. And I definitely covered that during this video. So if not, what are your price predictions? It appears that most alts have bottomed already. Can't see them going down much further. Yeah, well, that's because majority of these alts won't be here 5, 10, 15 years from now. And you have to be very careful and be very, very cautious with who you listen to advice from, because people out there will just tell you anything. But at the end of the day, you got to look at the fundamentals and the technicals. Those are what matter. And so thank you guys so much for tuning in. I think we're going to wrap this baby up here soon. Make sure to like the video if you haven't already. Just click that like button. It really helps out. I'm telling you guys, it means a lot. If you haven't joined our premium group, the link is below me or in the description. We're posting signals every single day. We do our live calls. We've got a chat there for you guys, and we're here for you. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. And until next time, I am out. Have a good day, guys.